Today we're going to work on telling time to the nearest quarter hour. Before we start that, let's get our brain warmed up and ready to go with some review from yesterday. If we take a look at this clock, you'll notice something's missing. What do you see that's missing? The minute hand. The minute hand is missing. I see an hour hand, shorter. I'm missing that longer minute hand. So you might think it'd be very tricky for us to tell what time it is. However, I know that you and I can figure this out. We have three choices. We have 4 o'clock, 4:30, and 5 o'clock. So using only the hour hand and what we know about clocks, we're going to figure out what time it is. So right away, if I look at where this hour hand is pointing, I'm seeing that it's halfway in between the 4 and 5 o'clock hours. It's halfway in between those. So I know it has not yet hit that 5 o'clock hour mark or past it. So 5 o'clock could not be an okay choice for us. That leaves us with 4 o'clock and 4:30. If we look at this, it is halfway in between 4 and 5 o'clock. If it were 4 o'clock exactly, this hour hand would be pointing straight to that 4 because it'd be the very beginning of the 4 o'clock hour. But it's not pointing straight to the 4. It's about half past the 4 and closer to that 5. So I know that 4 o'clock is not the choice for us. Instead, 4:30 is what this clock would be showing because the hour hand is halfway in between the 4 and the 5. Now I have to think about where would I draw that minute hand if it is 4:30. Well, I remember that all these tick marks are worth 1 minute, and the large numbers are when we've gotten to 5 minutes. So we would count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So if this is where a 30-minute mark is, I'm going to draw that long minute hand going down to the 30. Now this clock shows 4:30. Now that we've reviewed a bit, let's go ahead and get started talking about quarters of a clock. If we have a large clock like this, we would partition it in half first. If we start at the 12 and go straight down to that 6, now we have 2 halves of our clock. You'll notice that we started at the top where we'd have 60 minutes or 0 o'clock, and we'd go down all the way to the 6, which is where half of our hour is, our half hour mark. Now if we want to make it into fourths, we need to partition it again in half, but horizontally. We'll start at the 9 and go all the way across to the 3. What is that 3 really worth when we're looking at minutes? Well, we skip count by 5s on those large numbers. So we'd skip count 5, 10, 15. So this is worth 15 minutes. If we continue to skip count by 5s, let's say we start at the 6 and go from 30, 35, 40, 45. I want you to pay close attention to the 9 and the 3. These are 2 of our quarters on the clock. When we say quarters, we're talking about one of the 4 parts to this clock. From the 12 to the 3 is one of our quarters. To the 3 to the 6 is another quarter of the clock. To the 6 to the 9 is another quarter of the clock. And from the 9 to the 12 is another quarter of the clock. That's because this part, this part, this part, and this part are all worth 15 minutes. So 15 plus 15 is 30, plus 15 is 45, plus another 15 is 60 minutes that make up our whole hour or one turn around the clock. Now that we know our important quarters, let's talk about some phrases. I've heard the phrase before quarter past, and I'm sure you have too. When someone says quarter past, they're meaning that 1/4 of the clock has gone by, or 1/4 of that hour has gone by. So quarter past would be our hour, and then 15 minutes, because it's the first 15 minutes that have gone by in that hour. Quarter till would mean we only have 1/4 until the next hour. So that would look like our hour, and then 45. So if I said it was 1/4 past 3, it would be 3:15. If I said it was quarter till 4, it's almost 4 but not yet, it would be 3:45, meaning only 15 more minutes until 4 o'clock. Let's practice this. If we were to make our clock say 11 o'clock, right now our hour hand is on the 11, our minute hand is up to the 12. Let's go ahead and make it say 11:15. We moved our minute hand by 5, 10, 15 minutes. Now it's quarter past 11 or 11:15. Remembering that 3, it's really worth 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and make our clock go from 11:15 to 11:45. Now, you're going to notice that at 11:45, our hour hand is getting so close to the 12. And that's because it's almost 12 o'clock, but not yet. It's still in this 11 o'clock hour range. And then our minute hand is pointing to the 9, which if we skip count by 5s, we'd say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So now our clock is showing us 11:45. Now I want you to take a look at this clock with me. It's showing us a time, and we have a couple choices. Does this clock show A, 3:20, B, 4:15, C, 4:03, D, 3:04? Which one do you think? How do you know? Well, if I'm looking at these choices, I see 3:20 and I immediately want to look for my hour hand. I'm looking at the hour here, our shorter hand, and it's past the 4. It's between the 4 and the 5. So I know 3:20 cannot be a good choice for us because the 3 would be over here. I'm going to go ahead and cross out A. B says 4:15. If we look at our hour hand again, it is in that 4 o'clock hour range. Let's look at our minutes. Our minute hand is pointing straight to that 3. Do you remember what that 3 really means in the value of minutes? Well, 5, 10, 15. So 4:15 makes sense. I'm going to mark that one because I think it's a really great choice, but we always want to look at all of our choices before we pick one. If we look at our next choice, C, 4:03, the hour makes sense, but 03, that only means that 3 minutes have passed in the entire hour. That would look like this. 1, 2, 3. That's where 03 would be. So that one doesn't seem like a good choice for us. The same with 3:04. 04 would be right here for our minutes, and our minute hand is way down here. So I know even just looking at the minutes, D does not make sense. B, this clock shows 4:15. Today, when you practice at home, we have a couple choices for you. You can watch this video on BrainPop Junior on telling time to the quarter hour and half hour. You can also play this game on BrainPop Junior. It's a little tricky. It's a card matching game, but I know you guys can do it. Have fun!